Thank you so much for joining me today here at SA Integrated Therapies, Bianca.
No, thank you so much for having me.
I know we're going to speak about something that you are very passionate about today, which is Yin Yoga.
Yes.
So Yin Yoga, what is Yin Yoga? What is this thing?
Well, Yin Yoga is this wonderful practice where I guess ultimately we tap into another part of ourselves that within this young, driven, busy scene that we live in a modern day society, we get this opposite end to kind of create balance.
And if somebody came to a Yin Yoga class, what kind of practice does it look like?
Yeah, so the practice itself is fewer postures, longer holds, which already says the class is going to be more about quality than it's ever going to be about quantity. And the seating of the postures are quite passive, so no shoulder or hip bearing stuff, all seated on the floor. And we do have this time to marinate in the postures, and a lot of beautiful stuff can kind of be uncovered there as well.
So it's obviously very relaxing, as you're talking about. It's this balance to the yang style of life that we live. What else is it doing in the body? Like, what tissues is it working on?
Yeah, well, we call them the yin tissues. And the yin tissues, think of them as more denser tissues of the body. So things like bones, joints, ligaments, connective tissue, and most importantly, the fascia, which fascia is this interconnected web that pretty much connects everything to everything within our body.
And so how do we work on those tissues in Yin?
Well, the time really helps there. So we spend probably around 2 to 3, sometimes 5 minutes in each pose. And the way we can target these yin tissues in this time is because they have a lesser blood count. So think of the time as this time spent marinating so we can hydrate the denser parts of our body instead of moving from muscle to muscle in a more yang style, quicker style practice.
And traditional Chinese medicine does play a role in Yin Yoga. It really makes the practice come alive.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how that relates, how that correlates to the Yin Yoga practice?
Yeah, well, the biggest way it relates is this idea of cultivating qi. And qi, we can think of this energy, or in Indian yogic texts, we call it prana. And we have this vital force within ourselves, and we can create this free-flowing energy. So we can feel more balanced within ourselves, and our life can feel more balanced in the way we live and show up. So the qi and the meridians are said to be housed within the fascia of the body. And this is because the fascia is this energetic, rich water channel. So there is a current that can be found there. And these channels, because they have this water dense, rich consistency to them, when we spend that time, it's like we're soaking. So we're like a sponge soaking up this hydration. And then when we come into these rebounds and the practice of yin, which is just a small pause between each pose, we like to use that pause as a way to move the qi in the direction that we're spending within the posture itself.
Amazing, that's beautiful. Yeah. And is Yin Yoga for everybody? Would you say it's for anybody?
Absolutely. The beauty about the yin practice is it's so unique. So you come into the room and you just show up where you are and you do what you can. And some days we come in and we're like, yes, I want to do this pose. And then other days we step into the room and you're like, oh, actually my mind, my heart would like to do less today, or would like more, vice versa. So there is this balance where we meet ourselves where we're at every single class, no matter what we need that day.
And does a pose have to look a particular way as well?
Absolutely not. Not at all. And that is because we all look different. We have different minds, different hearts, and we definitely have different bones and anatomical structures. So therefore, each yin pose should be a feeling and something that we move a little bit deeper into those layers with instead.
That's one of the things that I love about Yin Yoga, is that we all do have such different bodies. And I know for me particularly, I'm considered restricted. It's not really, it's just my bone structure, but I can't do the hip opening things as much as maybe somebody else who has a different bone structure. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, up until about the age of 12, our bones were growing in a spiral direction. And the cool thing that I love about this concept is everything living in this world grows in spirals. So you think of roots and trees and then our blood vessels as well as our bones. So when our bones were spiraling in different directions, we were perhaps getting more external rotation or more internal rotation. So therefore it makes it so important when you step into the yin practice that you're listening. And you're listening to where you're feeling sensations and where you need to back off or where you can go a little further.
So if somebody had more external rotation, what would that look like in their hips?
Like a beautiful butterfly. They would look great, but then on the same scale, someone that had more internal rotation would also look great. I think it's just about showing up with what you've got, and rather, instead of this practice being something to accomplish, it just becomes something to feel. And we then move from this feeling practice with this insight that we can enjoy these unique and wonderful bodies and builds that we have. And when we don't show up with this constant need to look like the person in the front row or to look like the perfect Instagram shot, we step into the room and we just get to be ourselves. We come home.
That is why I love the practice so much. You have also gone on to study traditional Chinese medicine as well because of the practice. So from what you've learned in Yin.
Well, Yin really sparked my interest into this energetic layer of the body. So there's more than just the physical. And sometimes when we feel certain things in our body, especially in the time that we spend in a Yin room, stuff can come up, fluctuations of minds, of thoughts that are ruminating, as well as emotions. And there is so much to be said that lies within the energetic housing of the body. So I guess the more I practice and the more I understood this, the more it led me onto the path to study Chinese medicine for this beautiful unfolding that brings a lot of things to life than just the practice of Yin.
If somebody wants to come to a Yin class for the first time, what should they expect? What should they leave at the door?
Yeah, well, I would say to leave nothing at the door. Bring it all in, put it all out on the table, and we'll mop it up after class. But I think when you approach a Yin practice, come into the space knowing that this practice is for you. And if you feel at any point that something needs to change, let that beautifully unfold. We have props, we've got bolsters and blocks, and we can use those bolsters and blocks as a way to support your body where it's needed. So coming to the practice open-minded, but not feeling like you're going to have to put a lot of effort in either. It's an effortless practice.
What kind of benefits can they expect to have?
Oh, amazing, great question. So we can put them into two categories, I guess, for the physical body as well as the mental and emotional body. So starting with the physical, some of the things that you could experience in the practice of Yin is less aches and pains in the body, more mobility, more energy, and more hydration. And this hydration is great as well for the healing aspect of the body. As we move into the more mental and emotional benefits, within this time that we spend, we soak and we listen, we create this space for the body to move more into a system called the parasympathetic system. And this is considered our rest and digest. It's considered a system that we can heal in. So we can heal this body and we can calm the mind. So when we're faced in places of discomfort, we're able to better engage where our breath is, where our thoughts need to be in order to serve us, both physically and mentally.
Those are incredible benefits.
I know, they're great.
Thank you so much. You are going to teach a class at the Power Living Glenelg studio at the end of this episode, and I'm so excited to join that class.
Yeah, great. Amazing. Can't wait.